I think when you have that pride and honor in what you do, but nobody else sees it and they kind of brush it off like, well, that's just what you're supposed to do, or or don't complain about it, it's hard, you should have went to college, you should have did this, and then it's like, I'm doing something that's vital, and we know deep down. Martin Luther King, there's a quote by him, and it was from his last speech that he gave the night before he got shot. He was actually in Memphis, Tennessee, for the sanitation workers that were on strike. I did a video on this, and honestly, that's one of my favorite videos that I did. I could feel the passion in me when I was saying it. He was there supporting the strike. There was a few men that were killed inside of the trash truck for neglect, and then the employees didn't want to do nothing for, all this stuff. During that speech, he said something that was really profound to me that I think applies to what my message I try to get across in general, but especially on social media. I won't be able to quote it exactly, but he was saying how that the sanitation worker is just as significant as as a physician, because if a sanitation worker doesn't do his job, then diseases run rampant. He ended it by saying there's dignity in all labor. And man, that gives me goosebumps just hearing that, because that's the truth. There's dignity in what we do. And I think the blue collar industry, trades, however you want to call it, just kind of get brushed off unless you're like the top dog that's making all the money. If you're an apprentice, or if you're this guy, or you don't know everything, or you're not making this amount of money, well, you're just a peon. You're just nothing. My message I try to say is, no, you're needed just as much. Without the guy picking up the trash or cleaning up at the end of the day, somebody else is going to have to do that. I always say all hands on deck. That's the one thing in the trades and blue collar is it takes a certain amount of manpower to get things done. That means, a certain amount of hands, a certain amount of physicality. And not just one man can do, or one woman can do it all. So anybody who's there helping on the ground is valuable, and they matter. And they're not just some lower level entry person that, is less of a human because of that, even if they stay at their level, if that's what they choose, and their mindset, their capacity to grow further than that, and they like where they're at, then let them live that way, man. Like, they're not lesser than you. If they're in this trade, but they're not in your trade, nobody's better. That's one of my, and especially I get it on both sides, military and blue collar. Everybody's wanting to, egos bowing up. Who's better? I'm better. I fought in this. I did this many deployments. I've got this muscle. You don't have, it's just, oh, it's so frustrating sometimes. Not everybody's going to be trained the same. And there's always somebody bigger and badder that knows more than you and could do more than you. So just do your part. And as long as you're doing your part, what you're asked to do, what you're called to do, and do it to the best of your ability, and that's the job site or not, like, then I'm proud of you. I respect that. That's how I see it.